bring you guys some more Final Fantasy 14, and this is a guide. I'm going to kind of show you guys about the Dragoon, but also taught you guys about like the different classes that you can actually be in this game. So yeah, if Final Fantasy 14, if you're deciding which Final Fantasy 14 class to go for, there are 18 available jobs as of the Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers expansion. 10 of which you actually have to complete a base class to access, which is level 30. It can actually make choosing the right Final Fantasy 14 class an extremely difficult choice, honestly. Hey, what's up, Max? I don't know, for some reason the camera wasn't connecting. I don't know why. I haven't plugged in, but for some reason it wasn't really connecting with the stream, so not quite sure what's going on with that, but I'll have to figure that out. It's happened before, so I gotta just try to figure it out. But yeah, so luckily in Final Fantasy 14 you can actually take on any and every job class with just one character. So like, let's say if you don't enjoy the class you end up choosing, it is relatively easy to make a change. However, though, you do need to make, or you may need to check out the there's a Final Fantasy 14 leveling guide to make the process just a little bit quicker. Which I'll try to put the link in the description if I can. Anyways, but the best way to really start is picking your starting role. So you can choose to be a resilient tank, supported healer, or a powerful DPS. If you guys are new to like MMO games, DPS stands for damage per second. If you decide to go for a DPS role, though, you will then have another choice to make, like melee DPS, physical range DPS, or magic range DPS. It is worth noting tanks and healers are at much higher demand due to the responsibility placed on their shoulders, but it is worth going for these roles to get into dungeons much faster. Now, once you have chosen your preferred role that you want to take, the difficult choices begin. So, just sit back, relax, and let my handy guide walk you through the most difficult decision you will make today, which is choosing a Final Fantasy class. So, there are tanks, healers, melee DPS, range magical DPS, and range physical DPS. Now, tanks are essentially shields for the rest of the party. They have high HP and defensive skills that grab the enemy's attention. So there's the Paladin, which is PLD for it, that's the abbreviation for it. And their weapon is swords and shields. The Paladin protects the parties with shields and holy magic, but they also utilize their MP pool for healing teammates and dealing burst damage. Yes, they can heal as well. The Paladin job is an excellent introduction to tanking, but it can be challenging to master. So you first need to actually complete the Gladiator base quest to become a Paladin. So you have to head over to Ul'dah Steps of Thaw, I believe, and you have to speak to Ludosu to get started with that. You can become a Paladin or any class for that matter at level 30. There's also the Warrior class. The base class for the Warrior class is a Marauder, so if you want to be a Warrior, you gotta choose Marauder. The weapon is the Great Axe. He has a huge Great Axe. Warriors have numerous self-healing abilities, deal decent damage, and pull at mobs and enemies efficiently. The Warrior job is an excellent option for like players that have tried out a DPS Final Fantasy 14 class and would like to give a tanking a go. You will first need to complete the Marauder base class quest to become a Warrior, so over there you have to head to Lips Lamenta Upper Decks, and you gotta speak to Blathada, I think is how you pronounce the name, to get started with that. Again, you can become a Warrior at level 30. Then you have a Dark Knight, which is another tank, and their weapon is the Great Swords. And you do have to have the Heaven's Ward expansion to get the Dark Knight. So if you don't have the Heaven's Ward expansion, you're going to have to wait until you get that. Which means you have to wait until you get to like level 50. Well, not level 50, but the main scenario crest. Once you have to be a Realm Reborn before you can actually become a Dark Knight. Once you get Heaven's Ward, then you can become a Dark Knight at that matter. So, but the Dark Knight uses the power of darkness and has the most potent damage mitigating ability in the game. So you need to manage your mana and blood usage well to be a good Dark Knight, which can prove difficult when in the midst of battle though. Now there is no base class for the Dark Knight, but you must reach level 50 as a disciple of War or Magic before you can try the job out. To become a Dark Knight, you have to head over to the Pillars, and you have to speak to the Iscardian citizens to get started on that. And then there's the Gunbreaker, which is GMB, and the weapon is the Gunblades, which you have to have the Shadowbringers expansion for that. Gunbreakers will definitely appeal to players that are fans of Squall. Oh, whoops. I gotta move around here. Okay. Maybe do one attack here, just to make sure I'm safe. There we go. Okay. Anyways. So, much like the Dark Knight, but actually the start, let's see. Alright, see you later, Max. Have a good one. Now, the Gunbreaker does have a straightforward playstyle. It's some Aoe combos that can help increase damage or create shields. Much like the Dark Knight, the Gunbreaker does not have a base class, but you must reach level 60 as a Disciple of War or Magic before you can actually take on that job. So you have to head over to New Gridania and speak to God's Quiver Bow to get started. And then there's the healer classes. Healers obviously keep the team alive or bring them back to life, depending on how well they are doing their job. Healers can also deal minor damage during heal downtime. So the first healer class is the Scholar, which is SCH for short. The base class is an Arcanist, so if you want to be a Scholar, I recommend you being an Arcanist. The weapon is books, so it goes, he reads off the books, does spells off the books, he or she, depending on what, you know, if you want to be male or female. The Scholar summons fairies to help heal the party and provide shields. Having to look after yourself and a fairy can make for more difficult learning curve when trying to master the Scholar job, but they can also do good damage while healing and are valuable members of the team when used correctly. Yes, you gotta use them correctly, you gotta know how to use them to be a good part of the team. You first need to complete the Arcanist base class quest to become a Scholar, so you have to head over to Lens to the Mental Lower Decks, and you have to speak to Murray to get started. The Arcanist can also follow a Summoner DPS path if you prefer. You become a Scholar at level 30. And then you have the White Mage, which is WHM for short. The base class is the Conjurer, so that's CMG, so if you want to be a White Mage, I prefer you starting out as a Conjurer. The weapon is Wands and Canes. White Mage is generally the first job that comes to mind when you think of a healer in Final Fantasy. They have tremendous restorative powers and some great overtime regeneration spells. The White Mage's job is relatively easy to get the hang of, and it can also help out with DPS if needed. You will first need to complete the Conjurer base class quest and become a White Mage. So for that, you gotta go over to Old Gridania and speak to Medel to get started. You can become a White Mage again at level 30. And then you have the Astrologian, which is AST for short. The weapon is Star Globes. The Heaven's Ward expansion is required for this class though. But the Astrologian uses magic to heal and shields the party and cards to buff teammates. The Final Fantasy XIV class has two stances. One is for shielding the party and the other is for instant heals. There is no base class for the Astrologian, but you must reach level 50 as a Disciple of War or Magic before you can actually try that job out. To become an Astrologian, you gotta head over to the Pillars and speak to Genkrenut. Then there's the melee DPSs. The first one is the Monk, which is MNK. Base class is the Pugilist, so you want to be a Pugilist if you want to be a Monk. Monks have a high damage output and can buff the party at the same time. You will need to master your move rotation to become an effective Monk, but with practice they can have some of the highest DPS in the party. It is worth knowing though that the Monk will be getting its role reinvigorated for patch 5.4, which is set to release I think in December, or maybe it already came out. It actually might have already came out, now that I think about it. Yeah, you know what, I think it actually already came out. So it might already be there. But you first need to complete the Pugilist base class quest to become a Monk. So you gotta head over to Ul'dah, Steps of Nald, and you gotta speak to Garguna to get started. Again, level 30 to become a Monk. Then you have the Dragoon, which is what my character is. So the base class is the Lancer, which is LNC, Dragoon is DRG. The weapon is polearms. Dragoon are known for their impressive jump attacks and being generally flashy characters. They do similar damage to most DPS classes. Now they are slower than other DPS jobs, and Dragoons can be very difficult to master, but you'll look very cool leaping into battle, and they actually do probably some of the highest DPS in the game. You will need to complete the Lancer base class quest to become a Dragoon, so for that you gotta head over to Old Gridania and you gotta speak to Jillian to get started. Again, you have to be level 30 to become a Dragoon. Then you have the Ninja. The base class is the Rogue, ROG. Ninja is NIN. The weapon is the daggers, obviously that's what ninjas usually use. Ninjas perform fast and powerful combos with the use of ninjutsu. They can also inflict numerous debuffs on enemies, which increases the party damage output. However, as the ninja does rely on debuffs though, they do lower DPS and other jobs if misused. It's worth knowing that due to the high speed of some of the ninja moves, it may be a little trickier to play with the high latency compared to like the other classes. You have to complete the Rogue base class quest to become a ninja, so you gotta head over to Elusive Jump lower decks, and you gotta speak to Long Road to get started. You can become a Rogue at level 30. Most of them are level 30. And then you got the Samurai. The weapons obviously is the katanas. Stormblood expansion is required to become a Samurai. The Samurai is actually the second highest DPS in the game, but does not have any support of quirks that helps the party out in battle. It is hard to keep a Samurai alive without a party to help. This means solo questing can be very difficult. There is no base class for the Samurai, but you must reach level 50 as a Disciples of War or Magic before you can try out the job. To become a Samurai, you have to head over to Ul'dah, Steps of Nald, and you gotta speak to the Ul'dah citizen for that one. And then you got the Final Fantasy XIV classes, you got the Ranged Magical DPS. So for these, you can actually step back from the action and use different kinds of magic to inflict massive damage against your foe. Ranged Magical DPS generally has limited movements, as you are unable to move while casting, which is also going to be very, very, very annoying. So the first one you got is Black Mage, which is BLM. The base class is the Thaumaturge, and the weapon is the Scepters and Staves. Now, much like the Riot Mage though, being a healing staple to the Final Fantasy series, the Black Mages are renowned for being powerful element casters. So the Black Mage, like in Final Fantasy XIV, have great damage potential. It is relatively easy to learn the basics, but they are challenging to master. Just like the Dragoon. To become a Black Mage, you do have to complete the Thaumaturge base class quest to become a Black Mage. So for that, you gotta head over to Ul'dah, Steps of Nald, and you gotta speak to Aoe, I think is how you pronounce it, to get started. Gotta be level 30 for that as well. You got the Summoner. The base class for the Summoner is Machinist. The weapon is Books. And the Summoner can conjure one of 3 battle pets to assist them in battle, including some incredibly adorable carbuncles that you may remember from previous Final Fantasy titles. So if you played Final Fantasy in the past, you'll remember them. Summoners can deal serious damage to the single target, and the battle pets help buff allies. If need be though, the Summoners can also resurrect down allies during battle. Now you will first need to complete the Arcanist base class quest to become a Summoner, so you gotta head over to Limsla Mensa, lower decks, to speak to Murray to get started. The Arcanist can also follow a Scholar Healer path if you prefer. Again, gotta be level 30. Then you got the Red Mage, which the weapon is the Rapiers. Stormblood expansion is required for this class. One of the most balanced jobs in Final Fantasy XIV. The Red Mage can actually use black or white magic and weapons effectively. They have a lower damage output than other DPS classes due to the long casting times, but they make up for it with their speed and versatility. There is no base class for the Red Mage, but you must reach level 50 as Disciples of War or Magic before you can try out the job. To become a Red Mage, head over to Ul'dah. Once you reach level 50, head over to Ul'dah, Steps of Thal, and you gotta speak to a distraught lass to get started. And then you got Blue Mage, which the weapon is the One-Handed Canes. The Blue Mage is designed solely for solo play and can only reach level 60. This will be raised to levels or to 70 with patch 5.0 or 5.4, which has already come out. Blue Mages copy abilities and defeat enemies and have a wide range of spells they can use. Now I do have full guides that I can show you guys later on how to like unlock the Blue Mage and which spells they can use to help decide if the single player only character is for you. So yeah, I'll let you guys know on that one. But next one we have is range physical DPS. So for the range physical DPSs, you have the Bard. The base class is the Archer. The weapon obviously is a bow. The Bard focuses on supporting the party with damage buffs and dispel enemies debuffs on the players with the power of music. Unfortunately though, the Bard has lower damage output, but the ability to boost the party's strength makes the Bard an asset in tough situations. You will need to complete the Archer base class quest to become a Bard, so you gotta head over to New Gridania and speak to Athelina, I think? She had to speak to. You do have to be level 30. Then you have the Machinist. Weapon is firearms, and you do have to have the Heaven's Ward expansion for this one. The Machinist wields a gun and uses turrets, turrets to lay waste to enemies. Playing the Machinist well means filling the heat and battery gauges efficiently to deal massive damage. If you actually can get the heat and battery gauges up, if you can actually fill it up like all the way, they can actually do more damage to the Dragoon. There is no base class for the Machinist, but you do have to reach level 50 as Disciples of War or Magic before you can try out the job. So to become a Machinist, you do have to head over to Foundation, and you gotta speak to Stevenson to get started. And then you have a Dancer, but I do have a character that's actually a Dancer. I have one character that's a Dancer, and she's it's a female. The weapon is throwing weapons. Shadowbringer's expansion is required, so it's the most latest, newish class to the game. The Dancer is a well-balanced DPS and support role. Dancing around the field and supporting your allies sound appealing to you. I have a full Final Fantasy XIV Dancer job guide that I will give you guys. That will have more information on it. There is no base class for the Dancer, but you must reach at least level 60 as Disciples of War or Magic before you can actually try the job out. But to become a Dancer, you want to head over to Limsa Lamenta Lower Decks, and you gotta speak to the Eagle Lamentian to get started. And that is all of the classes and job classes that you can have in the game. Now, on to our main focus for this, which is the Dragoon, which is the class that I'm currently at. Okay, so this is the Dragoon. And the Dragoon is actually my favorite class, honestly. Who's trying to text me now? Okay. Anyways, so Dragoons are very heavily armored melee damage dealers. The weapons and style of combat are inspired by the everlasting conflict between men and dragons. It is very mobile. Oh. Sorry, someone's texting me here. Okay. Anyways, it is very mobile, acrobatic job that uses jump to move around and deal damage at the same time. I will give you an example of that. Boom! So yeah, you can like jump around the field and stuff. They also have Elusive Jump too. So I'm not sure if I have that in my... I don't think I have that in my hotbar anywhere. No, I don't have that in my hotbar. But yeah, they do have some pretty epic jumps that you can actually do. So I'll show you guys one more time once this thing goes in. Boom. Yeah, it does some pretty intense freaking damage too. Alright, but yeah, so they use jumps to move around. Dragoons are very reliant on positioning to get as much as possible from their standard combos. Besides that though, it is a really straightforward job with a stable rotation and a really good damage output, which I will get to the rotation in a little bit here. So the basics pretty much is it's being one of the original Final Fantasy XIV jobs. Dragoon has a combat class associated with it. In order to become a Dragoon, again, you have to be a level 30 Lancer. You can unlock the class in the Lancers Guild and Old Gridania. Dragoons wear plate armors and fight with pole arms, which is the weapon that I currently have that you can see right there. That's a pole arm. A really cool looking pole arm, but it's a pole arm. But yeah, so the job is currently one of the most powerful, I think it's actually the most powerful DPS in the game right now. As long as you're able to hit your positions and execute one of the main combos, you should be ending up close to the top of the charts, which my character does. At the same time, Dragoon is arguably one of the easiest jobs in Final Fantasy to begin with, but it can actually be very challenging to master. You should be able to learn the basics with relative ease, and the reward in the form of improving your damage output can be more than satisfying. But at the same time though, it's not brain dead either. Rather, the complexity of your rotation is not like overwhelming. Standing in the right position at all times is a nice mechanic to keep the player engaged in the game. In terms of gear stats, you definitely want some skill speed, but besides that, your main priorities are critical and direct hit. But overall, Dragoons is easy to pick up, and it offers really fun gameplay with significant damage output. It is a good choice for someone with, who's new to the DPS role. It's also a great character to play if you're starting your adventure with Final Fantasy XIV. And then you have the Dragon Gauge. So the Dragon Gauge is the thing at the very bottom of my hotbar. You can barely see it, but I'll pop it up here. This is the Dragon Gauge. You activate it by hitting the blood of the dragon, which you can see if you look at the blue at the right, the white. You can see like the little names of all the moves. Blood of the dragon is on the very far left. You can see right there. So you click on that. Hey, what's up, Keaton? How's it going? Now that activates your Blood of the Dragon. Now, one part of the rotation is you will hit like True Thrust, and then you see those little orange markers. So that right there is what you want to follow. So you want to follow those and keep hitting the ones that have the orange markers. That's part of your combo. Now, you have Fang and Claw and you have Wielding Thrust. Fang and Claw and Wielding Thrust is it increases the duration of the Blood of the Dragon gauge. So you want to keep hitting that. And then as you're hitting that, you want to hit High Jump when you're able to. When it's ready, you want to hit High Jump. And when you hit High Jump, then you can hit Mirage Dive, which I just hit, but that's on this side, right above Blood of the Dragon. You want to hit Mirage Dive, and that will open up the first Dragon Eye. So as you can see on the Dragon Gauge, the little timer thing down there is going down. When you see that, you can see a little purple eye that's like half open. So now I have High Jump ready again. So I'm going to hit High Jump again, and then Mirage Dive. Now you can see it's red. You can see the eye is red. So you want to keep hitting these moves in this rotation over and over and over again. Alright, now we're going to hit Rated Thrust. Now we're going to hit Disembowel. I like to hit Disembowel last once you have the red eye, because you deal more damage hitting that when you have the red eye. Now we're going to hit Gearskagul. Gearskagul enters the life of the dragon, which is the red bar, and it's a countdown that goes down. Alright, so you can have that go down, and you can just keep hitting that move over and over again. The other move that I gotta add back to my hotbar, but the other move is called Star Diver, which is one of his big ultimate moves. So I gotta add that back to my hotbar after I do done with this rotation. So you can hit Nastrite again, which is that right there. But yeah, you pretty much just want to keep going with the rotation over and over again. Now we're going to go into actions here. I'm going to go into my actions. And here's Star Diver. So we're going to hit that right there. Alright. Now we're going to hit Blood of the Dragon again. And we're going to do this again, so I'll show you the Star Diver here. So we're going to hit True Thrust. And then we're going to do Vorpal Thrust. And then we'll do Full Thrust. And then we'll do Fang and Claw. Then we'll do Wielding Thrust. And that will act as Rated Thrust. And then we're going to keep hitting that over and over again. And then once you get that red dragon eye, we're going to go the other way and do the Disembowel combo. Because it deals more damage when you do that. So as you can see, we're going to hit that, and then we're going to hit Mirage Dive. Now we're going to hit the Disembowel combo to get that in one round. And then Chaos Thrust. And then Wielding Thrust, Fang and Claw, and then we're going to hit Gearskagul. Now we're in. Now we can hit Nastrite, and here's Star Diver, which is like the big move. Now that just hit for 338,000 damage, that one move. So if you keep hitting these moves over and over again while you have the Life of the Dragon effect in, you can literally hit so much damage at one time. But yeah, you pretty much just keep on going with that rotation over and over again. So just keep following the orange markers around the moves, keep hitting those, and those are going to hit the combos. See, now it goes right back to the Vorpal Thrust into the bow, we're going back to that, and so forth. Once the high jump goes back in, we're going to hit high jump, and then we'll go back into the Life of the Dragon again, and then keep hitting that. So as you can see, that, Mirage Dive, the high jump, Mirage Dive, Goal, Nastrite, and then we'll hit Star Dive. And you just keep going like that over and over again. So the Dragoon's Jaw gauge shows the remaining duration of the special buff called Blood of the Dragon. It does increase the potency of your two abilities, Jump and High Jump, and Spine Shredder Dive. Now after the initial use of Blood of the Dragon, you can extend this effect by attacking with two of your weapon skills, Fang and Claw, and as well as Wielding Thrust. At level 70, you actually get access to an additional effect associated with the Dragon Gauge. It's called Gaze, and it's indicated by the dragon's eyes next to your gauge. So you can charge this resource while or with an ability called Mirage Dive, which I just used. Now when you get to maximum 2 stacks, you can use another ability, Goal, to transform your Blood of the Dragon buff into Life of the Dragon. It provides access to some high potency attacks, very high ones. Life of the Dragon duration cannot be extended, but after it ends you simply go back to Blood of the Dragon and then you can rebuild from there. So you got the weapon skills you have for the Dragon is True Thrust, and I'll show you the moves here. So you got, let's see, so you got True Thrust. So True Thrust is a single target attack with a potency of 290. It's pretty much the combo opener. And then you have Vorpal Thrust, which is a single target attack that gets extra potency when used after True Thrust. So it's pretty much like the combo. Whoops. Sorry, my mouse is acting up here. And then you have Full Thrust. And Full Thrust is another single target attack. This one actually gains extra potency when executing after Vorpal Thrust. It provides a sharper Fang and Claw status. And then you have Disembowel, which is right here. And Disembowel is another single target attack that increases your personal damage output by 10% for 30 seconds. It does hit harder when used after True Thrust. And then you have Chaos Thrust. When executed after Disembowel, it inflicts damage over time effects. It gets a bit of extra potency when hitting an enemy in the back. So the attack provides the enhanced Wielding Thrust status. And then you have Fang and Claw, which is right here. So this is Fang and Claw. So it's pretty much a single target attack with a potency of 320. It increases to 360 when used from a flank. It does extend the duration of the Blood of the Dragon by 10 seconds to a maximum of 30. You do need to be under the effect of both Blood of the Dragon and sharper Fang and Claw status to be able to use it. You can follow it up with Wielding Thrust. Now if you use it from the flank position, it grants the Rain and Thrust Ready status, which you saw in that loadout or that rotation just now. And then you have Wielding Thrust. So Wielding Thrust is right down there. So Wielding Thrust is another single target attack with a potency of 320. It also increased to 360 when attacked from the back. So you want to make sure you're behind the enemy to get the 360 potency. So it's like, it does a lot more damage when you're behind the enemy than when you are like if you're on the flank position or whatever. It also extends the Blood of the Dragon by 10 seconds. Now Blood of the Dragon and Enhanced Wielding Thrust status are required to use the attack. You can execute Fang and Claw afterward. If you hit your enemy in the back with it though, it makes your Rain and Thrust ready, so keep that in mind. And then you have Rain and Thrust, which should be over here somewhere. Rain and Thrust, but you get at level 76. Rain and Thrust replaces True Thrust when you have Rain and Thrust ready status. It does give you a more powerful opener, so it's also an opener. You can only use it. Then you have Doom Spike. Doom Spike is the very first, actually, I believe, AoE attack that you can get. So it's an AoE attack with a potency of 170 that hits all enemies in a line in front of you. And then you got Sonic Thrust. Sonic Thrust is another lion-shaped AoE attack with potency of 200 when used after Doom Spike. So you have to use it after Doom Spike to get to the 200 potency. And then you have the Corthian Torment. The Corthian Torment is the AoE combo finisher that has a combo potency of 230 when it's executed after Sonic Thrust. It also extends the duration of the Blood of the Dragon by 10 seconds. So if you have the Blood Dragon active, then you can use that to extend the duration of it. And then you have the Piercing Talon. Piercing Talon is somewhere in here. I don't know why I don't see it. Piercing Talon. So Piercing Talon is a ranged attack with potency of 150. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Now, we're going to talk about the Dragoon. And like the combos you can use for the Dragoon. So the Dragoon has access to 2 single target combos in the 1 AoE combo. Unlike almost all the other physical damage jobs, Dragoons have 5 piece single target combos with Radiant Thrust replacing True Thrust after the opening. So you have the Chaos Thrust combo. So Chaos Thrust combo is True Thrust. Alright, so you have True Thrust. And then you have Disembowel. And then you have the Chaos Thrust for the finisher. And then once you're in the Blood of the Dragon, you can actually extend it. So you can do True Thrust, and then you can do Disembowel, and then you can do Chaos Thrust, and then Reeling Thrust, and then you can do Fang and Claw. Now, when you do Fang and Claw, when you do it that way, you do not get the Rated Thrust. Rated Thrust only if you go for the True Thrust, Whirlpool Thrust, Full Thrust, and then you do Fang and Claw, Reeling Thrust, and then you can do the Rated Thrust. So the True Thrust, Whirlpool Thrust, and then you have the Full Thrust, and then the Fang and Claw, and then you have the Reeling Thrust, and then you get access to the Rated Thrust, which takes the place of the True Thrust. So you hit that. Just like that, and just keep going back and forth. And then you have the Full Thrust combo, which I just showed you pretty much. It's True Thrust, Whirlpool Thrust, Full Thrust, Fang and Claw, Reeling Thrust, and Rated Thrust. So this is the combo they used to go with when you don't have to refresh the Disembowel buff. It does provide more instant damage, but this doesn't inflate the damage over time effect of the personal damage booster. In general, you should aim to use the pattern of Chaos Thrust combo, Full Thrust combo, Chaos Thrust combo, Full Thrust combo. That's the way you should go for it. It's the most efficient uses of Rapid skill in terms of single target DPS. Now we have the AoE combos, which gives people a little more on the. So you have Doom Spike, you have Sonic Thrust, and then you have Corthian Torment. It is the Rapid skill to go for when facing multiple enemies. Now remember though that like AoE is line shaped, so if you have a position accordingly. Luckily, Corthian Torment extends the duration of Blood of the Dragon, so you don't have to worry about losing that buff. Now, you also have Limit Breaks. Limit Break is a DPS thing. So you got 3 of them. You got Limit Break 1, Limit Break 2, and then you got Limit Break 3, which is specifically for whatever class you are. Each Limit Break 3 for each class is different. The first 2 are the same. So here's the first one. It's called Braver. And then you have Limit Break 2, which is called Blade Dance. $425,000 damage. And then you have the specific one, and this one is for the Dragoon only. This is called Dragon Song Dive. That almost hit 1,000,000 damage right there. Just that one move almost hit 1,000,000 damage. Definitely use these when you're on boss battles. Please. They are extremely helpful. And we've actually gotten close to losing dungeons before and trials before. Like really close. We were about to lose. Like it would be like me and one other DPS, and that other DPS would almost be dead. And I'd panic, so I'd hit this. And this usually would finish it to where we actually beat it before we fail. So, Limit Breaks are definitely handy to use. I would definitely recommend them, for sure. But then you also have the Dragoon abilities. So you have the actions, and then you have the abilities. The first one is Lance Charge, which is this one right here. So it increases damage dealt by 15%. And it has a 90-second cooldown. And then you also have Jump, which I've talked about already. But Jump is a single target attack that returns you to a position when you used in it. It has a potency of a 310 and a 30-second recast timer. Later on, it gets replaced by High Jump and makes you dive ready. So High Jump is what I have. Once you get further into the game at a higher level, you get High Jump instead of just Jump. But yeah, so you have Jump, and I believe, actually, now thinking about it, I believe once you get the Dragoon class, it turns to, or once you get to level 74, it turns to High Jump, which is right there. So that will actually replace that one. So High Jump is a point-blank AoE attack with a potency of 400. It does grant the Dive Ready status, and the Dive Ready status is this, Mirage Dive. And then you have Elusive Jump. Elusive Jump has actually gotten me out of bad situations before. So it's a dodging skill that makes you jump back. It's rarely used, but you can avoid some AoE with it. So usually if I get hit with an AoE, or I'm about to get hit with an AoE and I can't move at the second, if I'm like stuck in a position, or if he has me stunned, and he's about to hit AoE on me and I'm about dead, as soon as I get unstunned, I'll do that Elusive Jump and I'll back away soon enough to where I won't get hit by the AoE, and I'll survive. So definitely not used often, but it's definitely a good thing to have in your hotbar just in case you're in a bad situation. You also have Spine Shattered Dive. It's a single target attack with a potency of 240. It has a 60-second cooldown, so a pretty long cooldown. And then you have Dragonfire Dive, and that's a point-blank fire damage AoE attack with a potency of 380. It does have a 2-minute recast timer. And then you have the Mirage Dive, which is right here. And the Mirage Dive is a single target attack with a potency of 300. It uses the Dive Ready status provided by other abilities. Provides 1 Dragon Gauge. So you do have to have 1 Dragon Gauge to be able to use Mirage Dive. And then you have Battle Litany, which is right here. It's a 20-second buff that increases yours, and actually it increases your party member's critical rate by 10% for 20 seconds. It has a 3-minute cooldown as well. And then you have Blood of the Dragon, which is the main focal point of your Dragoon. A Dragon Gauge buff that can be extended indefinitely. It does increase the potency of Jump and High Jump and Spine Shattered Dive. It has a base duration of 30 seconds and an identical recast timer. And then you have Dragon Sight, which is right here. You get level 66. So that's also a 20-second buff that increases your damage dealt by 10% and the nearby party member's damage dealt by 5%. The ability, or the abilities, the allies will lose the buff when they get too far away from you though. And then you have Gisgul, which is right here. So Gisgul is a line-shaped AoE attack with a potency of 300. When you have 2 Dragon Gauge, gazes, which is the red eye, the big red eye on the Dragon Gauge, if you guys saw that. You can use the ability to enter Life of the Dragon. It can only be executed when Blood of the Dragon is active. It does have a 30-second cooldown. Then you have Nastrite, which you get at level 70, an empowered version of Gisgul. It works similarly, but has a potency of 400 and can only be used during Life of the Dragon. So you cannot use it unless you're in Life of the Dragon state. Its recast timer is reduced to 10 seconds. And then you have Stardiver, which is right next to it. Stardiver is a powerful fire AoE attack with a potency of 600, reduced for additional targets, but it can only be executed during the Life of the Dragon. Stardiver does have a 30-second cooldown as well, so keep that in mind. And then you have True North. True North is going to be under your roll, and it's going to be right there. This roll action can be quite important during your combos. You don't always have time to perfectly switch positions while DPSing, but True North allows your next weapon skill to provide its positional effects, even if it wasn't executed from the perfect angle. You can use it to keep your full power combos going when it would be impossible otherwise. So definitely very helpful to use. I would definitely use it if I was able to. So if you're able to, use it. I'm thirsty, give me 1 second here. Alright. Then you have Lance Mastery. So it unlocks the Dragon Gauge resource. It can be generated with the Mirage Dive and spent with Goose Gold to get the Life of the Dragon buff. And then provides access to powerful moves like Nastrite and the Stardiver. And then you have the Jump Mastery. So this is what upgrades the jump into the high jump. Very simple. Then you have the Lance Mastery 2. It increases the potency of True Thrust, Warp Thrust, and Disembowel. That's pretty much all for that one. And then you have the Blood of the Dragon Mastery. It extends the duration of Blood of the Dragon and Life of the Dragon to 30 seconds. And then you got the Life of the Dragon. This allows for the strengthening of the gaze of the first brood upon using Mirage Dive or under the effect of the Blood of the Dragon. So when the gauge is at its strongest 2 units, Gyosuke Gold will grant you the Life of the Dragon status in place of the Blood of the Dragon. But under the effect of Life of the Dragon, Gyosuke Gold will change to Nastrite. Life of the Dragon will revert to Blood of the Dragon when duration expires, so you cannot keep getting the Life of the Dragon gauge up. It just goes down. Now, one thing about this game though is, as you probably know if you have played the game, but if you haven't, you don't. So Final Fantasy XIV features a global cooldown mechanic. So every weapon skill that you use puts all your other weapon skills on a 2.5 second cooldown. Optimizing DPS in Final Fantasy usually means keeping your global cooldown ticketing basically all the time. Additionally, there are off global cooldowns. Abilities that are excluded from that mechanic. So rotations are usually based on weaving them in, so between your GCDs in a way that they don't delay your other weapon skills. Some damage jobs can even double weave. It means using 2 OGCDs, and that stands for off global cooldowns, after a single target weapon skill. It's extremely important to understand that for the most part Dragoon can't do it. All the jump and dives have too long animations, and even with perfect ping, it would be impossible to double weave without clipping, delaying your next GCD. Some of your buffs can be used in that manner, but in general you should practice your Dragoon rotation with only single weaving. 3 of the Dragon's weapon skills get additional effects when affected or when executed from a certain position. Fang and Claw should be executed from a flank, while Chaos Thrust and Reeling Thrust are more effective from the rear. Each one of the skills gains 40 extra potency, so landing them is a nice DPS boost, but at the same time missing out on the right position is not the end of the world, so don't freak out about it. The most important part though is the 5th attack in your combo. Landing it from the correct positions make your Radiant Strike ready, further increasing the total potency of your rotation, so definitely make sure and research on your positioning for the Dragoon. Overall though, landing the positionals should never be your first priority. First you need to take care of like raid mechanics, make sure that you're staying alive and optimize your GCD usage. Please make sure you stay alive. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you stay alive. But then you can start worrying about the positionals. So don't forget about True North from the start. You want to do that like more later on. You can use it once every 45 seconds to get a free positional effect without having to move. As I've already mentioned, the general single target rotation consists of your 2-5 skill combos, the Chaos Thrust combo, and the Full Thrust combo. That should be used once or one after the other. The damage abilities that you can weave are High Jump, Spine Shatter Dive, Dragonfire Dive, Mirage Dive, and Gyosuke. And Life of the Dragon, you can also get Nastrite instead of Gyosuke and Stardiver. You can also increase yours and some extent of your team's actually damage output with your 4 buffs: Lance Charge, Dragon Sight, Battle Litany, and Life Search. When using them, you should pay attention to 2 interactions. Firstly, Chaos Thrust is the highest potency weapon skill that you have, so you want to make sure that it's buffed with either Lance Charge or Dragon Sight if you have the possibility. Secondly, Life Surge should only be used on Full Thrust. since it's your most powerful attack that's not a dot. If you don't know what a dot is, that's damage over time. At the same time, Lance Charge and Dragon Sight are substantial DPS boosts, so you should aim to optimize their uptime. Now, of course, you also have Blood of the Dragon. You shouldn't be able to keep it up for the whole combat during most encounters, but sometimes you can't, but you should be able to. It's really not that hard once you get the hang of it. Having all three useful tools in mind, this is an example of a stronger Dragoon opener. So, Blood of the Dragon is the first thing you want to hit, and then True Thrust with Battle Litany, Disembowel with Dragon Sight plus Lance Charge, Chaos Thrust with High Jump, Reeling Thrust with Spine Shadow Dive, Fang and Claw, Mirage Dive plus Gears Giggle, Rain and Thrust, Dragonfire Dive, Whirlpool Thrust, Life Surge, Full Thrust, Fang and Claw, Reeling Thrust, Rain and Thrust. It's a relatively long sequence of rapid skills and abilities. It does come down to using a single Chaos Thrust combo and a single Full Thrust combo, just with using all the buffs and weaving in as many abilities as you can. Later on though, you can pretty much use your own cooldowns as they come up, unless you're trying to coordinate certain burst windows with your party. So the opener pretty much provides a single stack of Dragon Gauge, or Gaze. It means that your attack, or that after your High Jump goes off cooldown, you're going to be able to get the second stack and activate Life of the Dragon. Now, when you have a Dragon Gaze stack and your High Jump and Gears Giggle are available to use again, you should activate Life of the Dragon with the combo High Jump, Mirage Dive, Gears Giggle. At this point, you enter Life of the Dragon. Now, during the 30-second window, you need to make sure to squeeze in 3 uses of Nastrite and a single cast of Star Dive. While they're extremely powerful, they are OGCDs abilities, so you're going to keep executing your standard rotation, just prioritizing these 2 abilities when weaving. Now, for the most part with AoE, the AoE rotation is really straightforward. You just execute your 3-piece AoE combo while weaving the 3 AoE GCD or OGCDs: High Jump, Dragonfire Dive, and Gears Giggle, Nastrite and Star Diver, and Life of the Dragon. The only annoying part is the fact that doing those results, doing this results in missing out on your damage buff from Disembowel. If you don't want this to happen, you can open up a True Thrust and Disembowel, then switch into your AoE rotation. So you can do Blood of the Dragon, True Thrust with Battle Litany, Disembowel with Dragon Sight plus Lance Charge, Doom Spike with High Jump, Sonic Thrust with Life Surge, Fourth and Torment with Gears Giggle, and then Doom Spike. You can also completely skip the True Thrust and Disembowel part if you don't want to spend the 2 DCDs on a 10% damage buff. The differences in efficiency aren't that significant, and both options are definitely viable. Now, while at first glance the Dragon's combo can seem a bit overwhelming with the number of actions required to perform them, but it is actually one of the simplest DPS jobs to learn, so you're going to have to memorize the somewhat long rotations, but it's basically the only difficult part. The resource management is extremely easy, and all you have to do upon activating Life of the Dragon is weaving 2 extra abilities in your standard rotation, standard combo. The rotation is extremely stable. The game does not throw you any curveballs or procs to respond to. Lack of double weaving makes the jobs viable, even if you have some latency issues. It also makes Dragoon less mechanically demanding. Furthermore, you're not entirely selfish as a damage dealer. You can offer some support in the form of Battle Litany and Dragon Sight. At the same time, if you execute your combos and utilize cooldowns properly, your personal DPS will also be really high. If you're looking for a powerful Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers damage dealer that won't overwhelm you with the intricate mechanics, you definitely should give Dragoon a shot because it is pretty freaking awesome. Now, one of the last things I do want to talk to you about is the best stats for the Dragoon. So besides weapon damage and strength, Dragoons get a lot of value from the critical hit rate. Then stats like direct hit rate and determination have a bit lower priority, but critical hit rate is the most important one. But finally, you can also use some of the skill speeds. The exact amount comes down to personal preference. Some players like a really high skill speed on the Dragoons, but it's really not that necessary. I have an okay skill speed, but I'm not really too focused on my skill speed, so it's probably not the biggest, the highest. But yeah, that's pretty much it about that, though. That's pretty much it about the Dragoon. Pretty much all you really gotta know about it. So, the thing about me now, as you can see up here, I have my buffs. So I have the Lance Charge, I have my Limit Break ability, which is not a buff, but it's a Limit Break ability. But I got my Dragon Sight, I got Bloodbath, I got Second Wind, which gives me a little more HP stored. I got True North, I got my Arm's Length, I got Feint, I got Lance Charge, and then yeah, get my Limit Break. This side, I got a few of my minions and then my mounts I can use if I want to use mounts. And I got a repair thing to be able to repair my gear if I need to very easily. But yeah, so again, I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to show you the combos. So the first thing I like to hit is I like to hit all of my buffs. And then I'll hit my Blood of the Dragon and then go into my rotation. So if I was to hit, let's say, Dragon Sight, and then Lance Charge, and then I'll hit Bloodbath. And then I'll hit my combos. So now I have those activated. So now I'm going to hit my combos. Now high jump. Then I'm going to go to Mirage Dive, Disembowel, Chaos Thrust, Wheeling Thrust, Fang and Claw, True Thrust, and then you'll hit Vorpal Thrust, and then you'll hit the Full Thrust, and then you'll hit Fang and Claw, and then Wheeling Thrust, Radiant Thrust, and I'll go back into the Disembowel, Chaos Thrust, High Jump, Mirage Dive, Wheeling Thrust, Fang and Claw, Gears Giggle, Nastrite, Skydiver, and this is when you want to be able to hit your other moves, but also try to hit your Nastrite at least 3 times if you can, and the Skydiver will only be once. So as you can see, I automatically hit that as soon as that cooldown was done. I hit Nastrite again, so make sure you really keep an eye on Nastrite. And I'll hit High Jump again, and I'll hit Mirage Dive, so that's already going to open up my first eye, the first gaze. And I'll just keep going in that rotation over and over and over again. And that's pretty much all you do when you do the Dragoon. So Radiant Thrust, we'll go into Life of the Dragon one more time. Disembowel, Chaos Thrust, Wheeling Thrust, Fang and Claw, High Jump, Mirage Dive, Life of the Dragon, Nastrite, Skydiver, back to my combo. This time I'll do the Vorpal Thrust. Then I'll do Full Thrust, Fang and Claw, Nastrite. Definitely keep an eye on Nastrite. Some people are not really that good at it, at doing that, but try your best to keep an eye on Nastrite in the cooldown. Yeah, I hit it. I always hit it as soon as it's ready. I always hit it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. And you just keep doing that again until you get back to the Life of the Dragon state and so forth. And to end it, we're gonna hit this. Dragon Song Dive. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to see more videos just like this one. And I will see you all in the next one. If you do have any more questions about this game, please let me know in the comments below. I am a 10-year veteran in this game. I've been playing this game for a very long time. I know a lot about it. I have multiple characters with multiple classes. I have this character that has multiple classes. Level 70 Warrior, Level 70 Dark Knight, Level 70 Ninja, Level 80 Dragoon, Level 70 Summoner, and Level 50 Red Mage, as well as a Level 21 Blacksmith and a Level 24 Weaver crafting classes. So I do know a lot about this game. Please let me know if you have any questions. I will see you all in the next one. Until next time, stay awesome.